What up, y'all? This is Black Dad, White Dad. I'm Strong Dad.
And I'm Chad. Let's go. Hey, it's not awkward at all. Like, right? It's
Hey, man. What up, man? How you doing today? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Coming overcoming a little bit of a little congestion thing. I don't know. Some shit's been going around where like I never felt sick or anything like that, but I just had like this congestion. So like my voice is still kind of on the comeback trail right now. But
Okay.
yeah,
I've been I've been
doing all right.
I've
You?
been fighting sicknesses all around me. Everybody gets getting sick.
Are you dodging it all? Yeah.
Listen, I do get sick, but me and my mom, we kind of do this thing where like we'll just be kind of sick for a little tiny bit and feel
Hmm.
just fine, and then everybody else around us will fall to pieces.
Yeah.
So we
Well,
may in
that's
fact
how. Yeah,
get it
that's how this
carried.
was too. Yeah, it was like people are like laid up in bed and stuff, and like they got sinus headaches and all this kind of stuff and everything. And I'm just like, I mean, I got a little cough, but I still went to work every day. I drove to Mississippi on Sunday to like be ready to go to work on first thing Monday morning. Like it's just, I don't know. There's something about being a dad that you just don't have the luxury of laying up in
Yeah, that's
bed.
kind of how I feel like it.
You got to
Even
grind.
when I'm working, it's like if I get sick, it just has to be what it is, man.
That's right.
I got to do
But
what I
y'all,
got to do.
this is what I'm bringing. Y'all just got to deal with it. Like this is
Yeah,
it. I'm gonna give my utmost, but I'm gonna sound funny while I'm doing it. So just deal with it.
yeah. I just stay away. I just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just mind my business, get my
Hmm.
job done, and slide on out of there.
There you go.
But yeah, man. So today, I wanted to have a conversation about the passport and really why the passport is not the answer.
Mm,
Why, before all of these, before actually getting the passport and leaving, why you're not exhausting all of the resources you have beforehand. And
mhm,
that can mean a bunch of different things that I kind of want to get into just a little bit. And then to end it off, I kind of want to talk about your philosophy as a father when it comes to, or correction, your philosophy as a man when it comes
mm,
to how you communicate with women, how you interact with women, and how this reflects on your daughter's growth, your relationship with her, and even to a small part, your son's growth in his relationship with women, but primarily from the father-daughter perspective, since we both are fathers of daughters, you further along
mhm,
than myself. So I kind of just want to bounce that between us. But yeah, so kind of starting it off, the passport. I got
mhm.
to ask you first, what are some reasons that you would say, if you would say, that the passport itself is not the answer when you are a man in this modern world seeking companionship?
Mm. Well, I mean, so I think you have to go to the root of that where that question comes from first, right? Which is what's the reason for the passport? The passport is a way of getting away from something that is not working here, right? Well, why is it not working here? If you're not answering that question first, then I think you're what I think a lot of times what we're dealing with and what we see, especially in that space that suggests that the passport is the way, is a an expectation that you can take your modus operandi and bring it somewhere else and it'll work there, and never examining whether your modus operandi is actually the problem.
Right. If it's
What if
flawed or not.
you are the problem and you follow you wherever you go? So therefore the problem follows you wherever you go. Um, if you bring the problem with you and you're still looking in all the wrong place, because I think that's a lot of where this comes from is that you have young men who are looking for the wrong things in the wrong places or the right things in the wrong places or the wrong things in the right places. Um, and when your direction, when your kind of your target is off, It doesn't matter how powerful the gun you're shooting is, how good your sight is, or anything like that. If you're aiming at the wrong target, you are not going to get the ultimate desired result. So I think that a lot of this comes down to, if you are looking for the right things, you can find those things here. And I think a lot of the problem that I've seen from this whole sphere that has born this, these various different quote unquote solutions to this problem, right? Of um, I don't know, incels or whatever, or whoever it is, trying to find the right mate, trying to find the trad woman, or whatever you want to call it, the kind of woman that'll do you right. Um, all of that stuff is an outgrowth of a more fundamental problem of young men not realizing that they are creating the infertile ground that they are trying to sow seed in. And if you are creating or helping to create this landscape of toxicity and like weeds and just barren earth, then you're going to reap what you sow. And if you are actually looking in the right places, trying to find that fertile soil, trying to cultivate it, and actually living your life the way that you're supposed to live it, then the rest of that stuff takes care of itself. And you actually find people in the right places because you're looking in the right places and you're looking for the right people. And really, the best advice I could give is, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, the right person is going to find you, and you don't have to be going around looking for love in all the wrong places and finding all these other things. Because really what a lot of this comes down to is, you got a lot of young men looking for lust where they say they're looking for love,
Right.
and lo and behold, those two things don't necessarily intermesh, and you end up coming up with hoe culture, and you become part of hoe culture, and you're surprised that, like, why the girls who you wanted to like pump and dump are not like marriage material. Well, what do you expect? You kind of create the problem.
That's right.
So,
That's right. Well, I like that. I like that. For me, the primary thing of kind of above all of it that I've always thought about when I am, considering the question of the passport being the answer or not, is, am I, like we were talking about the other day, you know, a magnet doesn't change its properties just because it goes somewhere else. A
mhm,
magnet is a magnet everywhere it goes. And so, what kind of a magnet am I myself? When I was in the dating world still and I was kind of looking around, I realized that the more developed as an individual my philosophy became, the more developed I became, the different types of women came around me. And when I look at this space now and I see these people complain about the women that they encounter, I wonder why I never encountered those women in their spaces, why I always encountered their betters in those spaces. There was a time when I did, when I was encountered by these types of women, right? And when I was younger, I indulged for sure. But when I got out of prison, I was really thinking about who I wanted to settle down and have a family with. I wanted to have a
mhm,
family. I wanted to have all of the things that I internally felt were almost out of my reach. And so it was easier to turn these types of individuals down. And eventually my energy just didn't mesh with them at all. And so I always wonder, why is your energy attracting insta hoes? You know what I'm saying? Why
mm,
why does your energy attract these women whom you blame for all of these issues in society? We have this the modern woman hating culture, and I would say that we have just as much of a modern man culture of weak men and men who are not suitable to lead, uh, or who think that they're suitable to lead because they have the finances, when in fact it's not the finances that make the man, it's the philosophy that has gathered those finances among other things. And so, when I look at certain I want to say influential individuals who lead these conversations, they lead with their wallet. You know, they lead
Mhm,
with their
mhm.
material value, and you know, like the question, what do you bring to the table, that started coming from these spaces. You know, asking women, what do you bring to the table? You know, I said this during Strong Dad June, and I'm gonna say it again. That is a dumb question, and I'm gonna tell you why it's a dumb question. Because
I loved your breakdown on this. Your metaphor for this is perfect, and I can't wait. Let's go. Let's go.
listen, they are the woman is the table. She is the table. We bring we bring everything to put up onto that table. And the problem is that these men choose this rickety, broken down table, and they expect it to hold up all of their wealth.
Mm,
Whether, and I'm not just talking about their monetary wealth, but their wealth as a man, right? You've done all of this work as a man. Why would you choose a table with a weak foundation? You know, or you yourself have not done the work as a man. And
mm,
there may be times where you encounter a woman who also has a rickety table, and you two just build together. You gather the funds and the resources, and she slowly builds away at the table with the funds and resources you give her till you create this beautiful dining room set where your family and household sit upon. We bring the value to the table. We cannot consider ourselves high value men and then ask
mhm,
for value to be there before we show up. We bring the value to the table, and the woman creates from that value, and that's her value. You bring
mhm,
her the pieces of a house, and she makes it a home. You bring her the components of a dinner, right? You bring her food, and
mhm,
she makes it a meal for you, right? You bring
mhm,
her the seed that sparks life, and she delivers to you a child that may potentially look just like you.
mhm,
That's why that's a bad question to ask, because she is supposed to be the table. The question shouldn't be, what do you bring to the table? The question should be, in more ways or less, and in however you want to put it, are you prepared to hold what I bring to you?
right.
That's what you should be asking. That's why it's not the answer, because when you're out there searching, if you are truly in search, then you are internally working on yourself. That's
Mm,
If you are truly in search of a good woman out there and you really want to settle down and have all of the fruits of life, then it starts from building yourself from within. And then that magnet will attract a woman who is ready for you. That's
mm,
that's the answer. You don't have to disappear to a place where, many things will prevent, the language, the culture, these two barriers right here. You don't understand these women's belief systems. You just know that they like to cook and clean. You don't know their culture. You just know what you see them do.
mm,
And this is not a recipe for a marriage. And not only is this not a recipe for marriage, but it's not a recipe for choosing a good partner. You need more than
mm,
that. You need
mhm.
more than that. So that's my soapbox for that.
Yeah, well, so it's interesting that you say that because, like, the a lot of those things that I think what people have lost sight of the fundamentals that these outward signs are like a manifestation of,
Yeah,
and they look for an artificial manifestation of something that isn't there at the fundamental level. And so they're like, "Oh, she can cook and she can clean." Yeah, but what's her motivation? You know, what's behind that? What's animating that? And is that just a because look at the natural world around us and look at how many instances there are of counterfeits and decoys where an animal will actually use the things that you're looking for as a trap to get you to be its prey.
that's right.
And so you have to be really, really careful. And that's why, like, if you're looking for the right fundamental things, you tend to be less susceptible to those counterfeits because you're not falling for the flashy object that like does the things on the outward signs that indicates something that's not really there internally. And I think it's interesting that you brought that. You talk about the table, but I think it's interesting because you said something about like sowing your seed and like and it can bring forth a child. Like that's that's kind of it too. Like what we bring to the table is we bring the seed to the table, and what they bring to the table is fertile ground for that seed to grow and flourish and be nurtured and to blossom into the fruit that can provide. And that's so like you had asked as we were coming, as we were getting ready for this. I didn't actually plan this because um what you just said kind of sparked this thought in my head. But um you think about what like what's my philosophy surrounding women, and how does that um animate like how I model for my daughter or anything like that, how I'm raising my daughter or my sons. um but it that whole idea of like the seed and the fertile ground, or what we bring to the table and what the table is, and whether it can support it or not. I have to bring people back to like anatomy, and like let's look at what's really going on here. What does the male anatomy suggest? It suggests like an outward um giving of itself into something that receives.
That's right.
And then that anatomy that receives actually takes that gift into itself and then converts it into fruit that is able to be born forth to the world.
That's
And,
right.
and so not to get too like I don't want to get too like deep on this and everything, but we got there, right? Like it kind of came out of the conversation naturally. But if you think
But
about
it's
like
true.
what's the real, well, like what's my philosophy surrounding women? Well, I look at like what what does sex actually mean? Why does that happen? Why does why does it feel the way that it feels, to where people are so obsessed with like, pardon my language, but like going out chasing ass and getting a nut, like
Yeah.
why? Because it feels amazing. Why does it feel amazing? Because that's how the human race gets propagated. If it was really painful or
There'd be
or
so few
boring
of
or
us.
it sucked, there wouldn't be very many people left, right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like we'd have died off a long time ago, but somehow we have survived. And a lot of these different things that we talk about are actually like time tested, because we have survived for millennia as a race, and all the animals do too, because of these things. But I think we're as humans, we're kind of a cut above. um and like, so what does sex mean? What does marriage mean? What does family, what does that mean for like the propagation of humanity? When I think about it like that, it's very simple for me to answer the question of what's my philosophy around women. A woman, for me as a man, is the perfect complementary counterpart that I cannot build a family and cannot propagate the species without. And I am the perfect counterpart and complement to a woman who cannot propagate the species without me. And so, what do we want to do? Do we want to just go around fucking everything that moves so that we can enjoy ourselves, and then cut that off and sever it from the procreative aspects of that, and ignore that and pretend like that doesn't exist, and pretend like there aren't natural consequences and even spiritual consequences to
Right.
doing those things the wrong way? Look at the world around you. Look at what horror culture and man horror culture has done to
Exactly.
children, to society, the crime rate, like the way that people are, the suicide rate, all of the things that you would say are like a concrete manifestation of things going wrong. I think you can trace back to how we approach, how we relate to the opposite sex,
Exactly.
and how we
Exactly.
choose to either build or destroy with that opposite sex.
And it really does have to be a two-way road. It we can't expect, we one of the things that I don't like hearing is, like how easy it's supposed to be for us as men to be with multiple women, and how it should be the opposite for women. And I, first of all, I do believe in, a woman as close to chaste as possible, right? But for me, there is a spiritual and energy component when you give yourself to a woman. You're not
Mhm,
just receiving pleasure, and I think a lot of times it's seen that way. We're just receiving
mhm,
pleasure, but you put it in a good way. We're created to give. And so
mhm,
you are giving a piece of yourself, and she is receiving a piece of you. And if you have no intentions with this woman, then you're just leaving little bits of your essence all over the place and taking away from your spiritual wealth, from the wealth of you, right? Versus, being more withholding of this, part of you, right?
mm,
Being more withholding of this emotional, physical, and spiritual investment, and recognizing that there is more value in also you withholding that. Now, I know the argument is, but men need experience. After about 3 or 4 women, I had a lot of experience. And
mm.
so if you need more than that, then you suck at your sex game. That's I'm just gonna say it like that. If you need more than three, you suck at your sex game. I'm not saying limit it to three and don't sow your seed when, don't sow your oats when you're a young man. What I'm saying is consider that you want a woman to be of value to you, and you also want to be of value to her. And you think your value is based on providing. And I want you to think about, when your daughter approaches a man, do you want that man to give himself to her because he intends to see a future with her, or do you want him to view what he gives to her
Mhm,
as, as little as what he gives to these other women, and maybe it'll pay off? This is, you
mhm,
raised this woman, this young woman, right? You
mhm,
instilled values in this young woman, and she's supposed to be looking for a man of worth. Do you think a man of worth shares himself with many women, or do you think a man of worth recognizes his value even in the bedroom, right? Even in this
mhm,
department. And I think that, these things create an energy exchange between you and your daughter,
mhm,
so that she understands this when she gets older. I You want your child to witness what relationships look like, right?
exactly. Yeah.
That's the goal. You want a woman that will treat you right, not just for your benefit, but for the benefit that your child will see what a good woman is, whether your child be a man or a girl, right? They see what a good woman is.
Mhm,
And then, you carry yourself and show your child, I am an example of a good man, right?
mhm,
These two things combined create a healthier relationship with the opposite sex your child will have in the future. And
mm,
then this is science. This is not like, this isn't conjecture. This is an opinion. This is science.
mhm,
So, your philosophy when it comes to women, how you treat women, you know, if your idea of helping women is bagging on stupid women, then you're only present think about what your child sees. Think about what your kid sees
but
from this,
hey,
right?
listen, it just all it does is make you the Ben Shapiro of the red pill space
Now,
of the
your son must go
manosphere.
out there and argue with dumb bitches.
That's what
That
I'm
doesn't need
saying.
to happen.
Like,
That
like
doesn't need to happen.
no,
You see what I'm saying?
no.
So it's, yeah, these things, they directly coincide. And
I would let
let's
the
learn
women
from
handle those chicks. You
healthy
know what I
chicks.
mean? Like, let a good
Yeah,
woman handle those dumb women,
exactly. Exactly. Really,
and
what
I'll
we should
handle
be
the
doing
dumb
is
men. Like,
handing it over.
we're here to talk to the dumb men and tell them like, get your shit together, man.
That's right. That's right. I don't got time to to bag on dumb bitches.
Mm-mm.
And not only that, but if the idea is, we're trying to show young men what is out there,
Yeah.
I would raise you that, you don't have to, like, this isn't archaeology. You don't have to go out there and dig up trash women to describe a trash woman to a young man. What you could do is show him how to carry himself in such a way that them trash women will never even approach him.
Mhm.
I've never had a trash woman come anywhere near me, and the ones who have recognized that my energy was completely opposite of theirs. And if
Mhm.
that's what you're teaching, they never have to actually see the trash woman.
Mhm.
You, when you spend your time with this, when you spend your time with people who are of little worth, then you devalue yourself. And
Yeah.
now you're saying my time is worth little also. You're
Mhm.
not presenting value. You're diminishing your own value. You see what I'm saying? A good. You're not gonna find a Lamborghini in a used car lot. You know, like they're gonna.
Yeah.
You, and if it's there, it's a shitty Lamborghini. You
It's
know what I'm
a yeah,
saying?
it
You
got
don't want to
totaled.
buy.
It's just yeah, it got
So
totaled and
that's what I got there.
they got Bondo holding it together or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, so that's well, very well said. And I think when you think about like how you model this sort of stuff, you know, I think this is just let this be a lesson for the really young men, the young men who haven't already like had a kid, or they're already like on their second or third wife or something like that. Like, because I'm on my first wife. We're it'll be 30 years before too long. We celebrated 25 years last year. It'll be 30 years before you know it. We've been together for over 30 years, dating, engaged, or married. And I think one of the things, so like my parents are still together. My mother-in-law and father-in-law, my father-in-law, God rest his soul, he passed away when they were still married. And they would still be married today, if he was still alive. But I think you look at those kinds of things, and it to me it simplified things, because I knew what I was looking for. And if the woman didn't measure up to what I expected and what I had seen in my own household, um, they weren't even like on the list. Like I was looking for wife material when I was like 14. I'm just, maybe I'm built different. I don't know, but like that's the way I was. That's what I was looking for. I wasn't looking to fuck around. I wasn't trying to play, have fun, or anything like that. And like my wife and I, like we didn't have sex until we got married. And I know, I realize everybody uh hasn't done that. But I highly recommend it. I think, like, to your point about what you're saying about like needing to go through 3 or 4 different people, or maybe more, to like get your experience or whatever. Like, no, I mean, like when you're both inexperienced, you figure it out on, you know what I mean? Like you figure it out together, and you communicate. If you have a good enough relationship and the foundation is not built on that, because I'll say this, like if you start off a relationship and you're like you're having sex a week or two or a month or three or whatever into it, certain things start to short circuit around when that's going to happen again, and where you're going to do it, and what it's going to involve, and what kind of shit you're going to, what kind of role playing, or what kind of dinner you got to go to make it, you know what I mean? Like it starts to become the thing that the relationship revolves around. Um, and my wife and I, like 5 years into dating and being engaged, is when we first got married. And like we had done so many other things, like going to museums and going and do, you know what I mean? Like just doing other shit together and talking to each other, where like fucking wasn't the center of our focus, that when we got married and that became part of our, what was on the table as something to do, it wasn't the central focus of it, and it didn't get old and boring. And like we worked through and figured things out together, to where we knew what clicked and what didn't. And it's, I mean, here we are. I'm, like I said, 25 plus 26 years, married, and haven't skipped a beat along the way.
Oh,
But huh?
as well.
Oh
That's good.
yeah, yeah. But I think some of that comes from like the modeling that I saw, what I saw as
You
um
good examples around you.
what to expect. Yeah, what that sort of relationship looks like. And so that's what I would say. Like if you're in a position to do so, start. And I think you've already done this with your wife and your daughter, where your daughter's going to be set up much better than if you had just left your wife after. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a whole different vibe when that the home starts to break. That's why, like, the
Yeah.
when you start to see the breakdown of the family unit, the call it the patriarchy. I call it the patriarchy matriarchy, combo, because
Yeah,
I think they're
the
both true.
power combo.
Yeah, the power combo, right? But the nuclear family, when that starts to break down, what happens if you start to break down the nucleus of an atom? You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
chaos
Exactly.
ensues. So
Exactly.
when you split an atom, that's how you create like nuclear bombs and shit. Like it's got some destructive potential, is all I'm saying. So do whatever you can to find someone and to build with someone who you can build that modeling unit, because the only way, it took us a long time to get here. The only way we get back to where the family unit is more stable and solidified is that those of us who see what the potential of that is start trying to make it happen,
Yeah.
and actually build with someone and do the hard work. Because I'm gonna tell you, it's not easy. But
Yeah. No.
what's harder, if you really, so like, it seems easy on the surface to tap out and be like, all right, I'm done with you, I'm going to move on to the next chick who will, jump in bed with me, or whatever, whatever other kind of will do the thing. She brings more to the table, right?
It's
um
it's never smooth sailing.
it's
The
no,
grass
no,
is not
you
always greener on the other side. That's not how
not
that works.
like, honestly, like, it's just, you just have to work on somebody else now.
Yeah.
Like, instead
Yeah.
of working on the relationship you already had, now you're starting from ground zero and you think that this one's not going to require work. Like, no.
Right.
If you go into it knowing it's going to take work and you're willing to do the work, and knowing that's not going to come easy, then you don't set yourself up for that immediate failure because you went into it with unrealistic expectations.
Well, this is why a lot of relationships fail too, is because, the like you sometimes people put in so much work and will reach an impasse and are afraid to have to put in the work with someone else again.
Mm,
That's another thing, right? Because you can put in all the work you can, and let's say it doesn't work out, right? And you two split. Often we stay in these unhealthy relationships and keep coming back to the same unhealthy person because it's
mm,
like a dealer. It's like, but I mean, I was around for the days when weed was not legal, so it's like, one guy, he sells you an ounce and the ounce is cheap, but it's good, right? You've
mm,
known him for a long time. You get the ounce on the cheap now. And then one day he moves just a little further from you, and you could either, drive that far, or you can go to the dealer down the street. But the problem is that the dealer down the street, you got to work that relationship back because this ounce is expensive as shit.
yeah.
And sometimes you just don't want to go to the, you know, you don't want to pay full price anymore, and when it comes to love, sometimes you don't want to pay full price,
Mm,
and that's something that you got to also deal with.
yeah.
An unhealthy relationship is only worth salvaging if both people are ready to salvage it. If not, then you got to move on, man. You got to let it
Hmm.
go. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? So I would say that on the juxtaposition to what you said almost,
Yeah, but it
but
starts with
also
picking the right
100%.
person, right? Like, it helps too. Like,
Yeah, yeah. But so before, I got a surprise question for, well, not really a surprise question, but just like an
okay.
extra question for you. But before I dropped that extra question, I would tell people who are in early relationships, like, brand new marriages. Me and my wife, we're moving into our fourth year
Hmm.
together, and we decided that we are going to we decided to do Bible study
Mm,
with each other. We decided to use the Bible as our relationship counselor, as our marriage counselor, to make sure that we are accountable with each other and to try to improve what we see as a really good relationship. Because, in the beginning, people, they used to call us the real deal, and we really felt that, and we want to maintain that feeling. When I look at you and your wife, that amount of time right there, that's the real deal to us, right? We want that and then some. We want to be
Mm.
old as shit together. Look,
Hey, hey, hey,
old
hey,
as
hey, hey, hey. Watch
we
this
want to
now.
be a old
I,
ass Instagram couple. You know what I'm
I
saying? That's
object.
doing cute things together
I
and shit
object to
like.
being characterized as old as shit. All right,
Well,
listen.
no, no, no. Like after you, right? Like 20 years from where you
Yeah.
are is,
Oh, okay. All right.
like
That's
we
fair.
want to be like those really old couples that are barely mobile, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Just sitting on the couch looking cute together.
that's
And
right.
really to make that happen, we thought and we sought the Bible. We
Mm,
not religiously, because we practice ancestor magic and ancestor worship, but we are very much we do who is essentially hoodoo is pretty much what
mm,
it is with with Christianity as a foundation, with the Bible itself as a foundation. And so we decided to undertake that. And I'm really excited about what it's already done for us. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Maybe consider, where your values, how deeply your values coincide with your significant other in the early
mm.
stages, and let that evolve. But question,
Yeah.
is there going to be a civil war?
So I don't know, man. I'm so focused on my responsibility to raise sons that other parents will want their daughters to seek and marry, and raising a daughter who other parents would want their sons to want to seek and marry, that I don't know. Like I think do we don't we get like a couple of threats of civil war every 3 or 4 years?
That's the that's the answer
Uh,
right there.
it's I mean, you saw, you
Yes,
retweeted it, so you're not unfamiliar with this, but I tweeted the other day like this is the least important election of our lifetime, because I'm
yes.
so sick of hearing like I'm 50 years old, and Reagan Mondale, um let's see, what was it, Bush, shoot, who was Dukakis, Bush Dukakis, Clinton and Bush, who's it, Clinton and Dole, Gore Bush,
Dang.
um, Bush and who was Bush
The
Kerry,
history book over here.
Obama and McCain, Obama and Romney, like Trump Clinton, Trump Biden. Now it's going to be
Civil
Biden
War
Trump
every
again,
time.
allegedly. Like every time, every single one, not without fail. Guess which one is the most important of our lifetime? Whatever the current one is.
Exactly.
So it's kind of the Civil War question is kind of the same thing for me. It's like, I don't know, like how many civil wars do we have to threaten?
Exactly.
We've only had one, but I really think um, I think we're heading into a point where, and I posted something. Maybe I didn't post this on Twitter, but I sent it to a few people. I don't know if you saw, but like at the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab was talking about how with AI, we're not even going to need to like have elections anymore. We'll just be able to
Yeah.
predict the outcome
Yeah.
and just like, and so I'm like, I mean, that's
That's
kind
code
of
word
where we've
for there's not going to be elections anymore. We're just
exactly.
going to
Well,
tell you.
so there's that, but I would even argue that we've already been in this state. We just haven't had it explicitly indicated to us.
Yeah.
But
It's
you
just
remember
being
what they told us
conspiracy.
after 2016, right? Is that Facebook is why Trump won. That there was election interference, fake bots and memes and whatever, and fake news, and that's why. So like, they're telling us that like the tech companies influenced the election and created the outcome. And then we're told now that like this last one was, they suppressed the Hunter Biden story and all these other things, and it's like, okay, so have we really been having elections all along? Well, I don't know. Like you go back and you look at, and this coming from like my anarchist libertarian roots, which I say roots. I guess I grew these roots as a sapling when I was in my 30s. But but nonetheless, it is what it is. We are where we are, and I go back to those roots and I say, like, no, this is what the anarchists and libertarians have been saying for decades, is that, like, this is a duopoly, this is a uniparty system, that it's a selection, not an election, and that the candidates are chosen for us by whatever powers that be you want to describe, however far up the chain you want to go. Do you want to start at the parties, or do you want to go to, like, the lobbyists and the people who fund them? You want to go to the people who fund them, the people who fund them, the people who fund them, and then you could even go to, like, the spiritual influences that create and sow division, so that human
They
beings
decided the election. They
don't.
just want our input. They
Exactly right. They
they
decided,
just
and they
want to
just
know
want
how
us.
we like it.
I don't even know if it's that. I think what they want to do is they want to placate us with the illusion of thinking we had something to do with it.
Yeah, well, it's a your participation trophy.
Exactly. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Your I voted
Thanks for
sticker
showing
is
up to the
the
game.
participation trophy. That's right. Like,
Yeah,
thank you for showing up. We already
yeah,
decided that you lost. Because ultimately
exactly.
that's what ends up happening, is, like, no one wins the election except the people who win the election, and everybody else loses. Because they get more power and influence, and all the goodies that come along with that, and we just continue to hustle and struggle to meet out a I don't know, a serf's existence. But I think what we can do, you and I, and our families and our kids, is we can start to carve out for ourselves a way to look at that from the standpoint of, like, okay, that's fine. You may have power over certain things in this realm, but I'm not going to let that get me off of my square. And I'm not going to let that stop. I'm not going to let that make me turn into a different kind of person.
Right.
I'm going to do what I know is right and what I know I need to do to take care of my little sphere of influence. And I'm just going to not worry about that stuff. I told some people, like, so yesterday was the big I Stand with Texas day or whatever. I actually drove to Texas yesterday. I invaded Texas. Nobody
Hey.
stopped me. Nobody stopped me. And so I'm just, I'm here to say, like, I don't know. To me, it's all just I find the jokes and everything. I can't really get down with the fear mongering over, oh my gosh, is this going to be don't go over there. It's January 6th all over again. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I could see that. I don't disagree with that. Uh, I'm also not going to go over there and, be part of a convoy that's going to, like, try to, like, round people up at the border. I'm like, at the end of the day, this is just a bunch of people who are, like, trying to find some way to escape the shitty situation they're in. They're trying to make money. They're trying to get a little bit of bread. Now, are there some weird people influencing some of those people to do some other stuff? Possibly. Yeah, but I think most of the people are just, like, I don't
Bro,
know. They're just trying to help their families and everything too.
they're being
And
weaponized just like
yeah, they
us.
are. They're being weaponized for sure, for sure. And so, like, what you have to be careful of is that you don't become weaponized against that, because then you're just another tool. You're just another cog in a machine that is going to chew you up and spit you out. And they don't give a fuck about you.
We are the bullets.
That's
We
right.
are the
That's right.
bullets.
We're the bullets. We're the bullets. Right.
We're not the gun. We're the
We're not
bullets.
the guns. We're not the guns. We're certainly not the ones pulling the trigger. That's for damn sure.
We're just the bullets in the gun.
Oh, and if we
Or
are ever the one pulling the trigger, there, there's going to be Secret Service on our back as soon as we're done.
facts.
So don't pull that
Immediately.
trigger.
Don't even touch it.
Uh, that's right.
Well,
That's right.
that's good, man. That's good, man. It's been good. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I think we touched on some good ground today. I actually have some great questions and some topics for next time, based off of what we were talking about. So I'll send you some of that after this. And
Excellent.
yeah, thanks for sticking with us. And if you stayed this far, like and subscribe. And as always, I'm the Black Dad, Strong Dad, and this is the White Dad, Chad.
That's
Y'all
right.
take it easy, man.
Peace out.